G'day guys, how are we going? Look, in this video I'm going to talk to you about 3 apps that I've got loaded on my mobile phone that I use for monitoring things like the weather, and some emergency apps too in case you might find yourself in that sort of situation. Now I use them certainly around the Victorian High Country, but you can also use them pretty much anywhere in Australia. So let's get into them. Now the first app that I'm going to talk to you about, it's called the Vic Emergency app. Now this app here is extremely useful for monitoring areas that you want to keep an eye on for weather disasters like fires and floods and that sort of thing. Now I've pretty much got the whole Victorian High Country covered. You don't have to put as many of the places in that I've got, but I certainly like to know what's going on within the whole area. So I've got Lacola, I've got Mount Buller, I've got Walhalla, I've got Mount Buffalo, Dargo, Jamison, Tom Grogan, and even Trafalgar down the area where I live down there, so I can see what's going on down there. But look, and I've got these all set up for, you know, disasters like if you get fires and bushfires and floods and those sort of things going on. I'll get an instant notification telling me of what's going on within that area and how bad it is. Now it's an extremely useful app, even if you don't live in the Victorian High Country. If you were going to say travel, say from Queensland and going to come down to the High Country, this would be an app that's well worth getting onto, and you can start monitoring your trip. Say about a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, about a month out, you can see what's going on with the weather down here before you even come down, because you never know the trip that you've got planned. You might have to make some changes because the areas you want to go into have all of a sudden got a fire going on in there, or have had a lot of rain and suddenly you've got floods, so tracks can get closed for those reasons. So this is a great app to get, the Vic Emergency app. But look, if you're not from these areas, you've got a notification button here, so you just hit the notification button and that'll turn that area off. So you're not going to get beeps and notifications all the time if you don't want to listen to what's going on. But I like to hear what's going on, so I've got all of these all turned on, and this is an extremely useful app and certainly well worth checking out. So Vic Emergency app, check that one out. Okay, the next app I'm going to talk to you about, it's called Weather Zone. Now Weather Zone is a great app. It gives you great detail on the temperatures for the areas you're planning to go into, and the weather radar for the rain is extremely detailed and very accurate, and gives you all the colours from greens for light rains right through to, if it's really heavy rains, from the yellows and reds and blues. So this app here is really handy for those sort of things. Now I generally start looking at this app maybe about 2 or 3 days out from when I've got a trip planned, and that way it gives me a good indication on what weather has sort of been falling or what's happening sort of those few days leading into that trip. But then it also gives me a good accurate reading on the days that I'm going to be away. Now it gives you a 7-day forecast, so I generally, as I say, I generally start looking maybe about 2 or 3 days out, and gives me a good indication on what I'm in for, the areas I'm going to go into. But look, I've got a stack of areas that I watch here, from Mansfield, Wangaratta, Mount Hotham and Dargo and Mount Buller, and the list goes on. There's no notifications, of course, not like the last app does, but certainly I can drop into those, check them out and see what's happening for those areas that I want to go into. So Weather Zone, check that one out. Okay, so the last app that I've got here on my list of emergency apps is Emergency Plus. Now this is a very simple app. It only covers a couple of pages, but geez, it gives you a great deal of information. Now if you call 000, one of the first things an operator is going to ask you is what's your location or nearest cross street. Well, unless you got a GPS or something like that, you're not going to be able to give them any coordinates or any nearest cross streets. Now this one here, it's got my GPS coordinate where I'm sitting right here, and then on page 2, if you're in, say, an area, built up area where you'd have all the cross streets, well, it's pinpoint accuracy, and it'll show you all the cross streets for where you are, so you can give the 000 operator some very accurate information so they know where to find you. So this one here is really handy, well worth checking out. It's got the 000 button there, you just hit that and it'll dial 000 straight away, and it's got the SES there, it's got the police as well. So some very handy little points on that app there, well worth checking out, Emergency Plus, and have a look at that one. So look, I hope a couple of those apps there have helped you guys out for some of the ones that you might have. But if you've got any that emergency apps that you might use, let us know in the comments below, because I'd be interested to know which ones that you guys go and use for monitoring things like the weather or any emergency apps like that one. But in the meantime, I'll see you guys out in the bush someday.